New Zealand 10, South Africa 43. It is the gift that keeps on giving. New Zealand versus South Africa, the biggest rivalry in world rugby. We got another great game, this time a record defeat for the All Blacks. The Springboks, they celebrate at the end. The coaches go crazy because they know they've put in a complete performance, what they've been working towards for a while now, where they put together that new talent in the backs that is coming through and their traditional strengths. The scrum was great, the line out was great, they carried hard, they kicked, they competed, and they moved the ball, and they offloaded. Complete game, dominance, and New Zealand melted in the end. So big questions to ask for New Zealand and their players and their coaches. South Africa, can they start to repeat those sorts of performances? Because that was special. Let's dig into the highlights, dig into what happened in this game and pull out some of the key things from it. And early on, we can already see that the Bok backline has come to play a lot more than they normally do with, say, a Pollard, D'Alande and Creel backline, because that is the talent they have. It'd be silly not to. They can't quite make it click in the first 10 minutes, but they do start fast. I think Marks overthrows. Will Jordan rushes up and Colbe stops one try there. Sasha Feinberg-Magomazulu kicks a penalty touch too long. So something's not quite clicking, but they are on top. South Africa, they're dominating that territory, which is important. Surveyor jackling and saving the day. New Zealand are trying to play to their strengths, which they know is their handling, and in this first half they do some nice handling, trying to run out of trouble, which largely works in that first half. But like last week, that scrum comes to the fore. I did wonder if the New Zealand scrum would stand up to South Africa. They've got some good quality props there, but just not good enough as they got outclassed once again. I think they won maybe one or two penalties, but generally they were absolutely smashed and sometimes flying backwards. And this meant that South Africa could kick on their own terms, going forward. Magomazulu, some nice grubbers on the front foot. One of those pops nicely for Colbe, who gathers it. Looks like he's going to score, but New Zealand save the day. Geordie Barrett this time. Colbe will be disappointed, but he gets tries in the end. And South Africa in this first half banging on the door, not quite working. I mean, Snaeman piles over, it looks like it's a try, but there's a fumble at the base, so just not quite clicking. And they could have got a bit disappointed and really down on themselves, but they came back nicely, even though New Zealand scored first with what they've been doing well, which is great handling, not really making missed passes, just nice deep draw and give, getting to the edges again and again. South Africa rushing in defence and New Zealand were getting outside it. A crossfield kick eventually stretches South Africa just a bit too far, so when they rewind with hands once again, they just run out of numbers. Carter scores. It's a lovely one to watch. So New Zealand are actually up 7-0. And just a few signs here that you're thinking South Africa, could they creak here? They're losing a few players early on. De Jager, Magomazulu, there's Feinberg-Magomazulu. That is a big blow early on. You think, could they really struggle there? But they have plenty of depth on the bench, and their bench was a lot better than New Zealand. 20 minutes in, we can see South Africa are here to play. They're getting some offloads. Snaeman with his trademark offloads, playing a lot better game than his first outing in this championship. He was outstanding. But for a second time, Reinach fumbles at the base, so that was a bit disappointing there, as they are still on top. On 24 minutes, it's worth noting that New Zealand could have pushed ahead further. Takiaho, who's incredibly powerful, not as technical as Taylor, but very powerful, smashes straight through the guts. That was good, and they try to get to the edge out wide, and then a brilliant play, maybe a momentum shifting play potentially from Cheslin Colbe, as he knows they want to get back into this game. He fakes on Proctor to make it look like he's tackling him, then fades out and intercepts his pass perfectly, and the gas, of course, to score. Amazing from Colbe. Complete turnaround in momentum there when New Zealand were breaking through, looking like they could score a second. It goes 7-7. So massive play from Colbe there in the first half. An individual stepped up in this game. Yes, it was a good team performance, a good all-round complete performance, but individuals had such great games, and with the talent South Africa have, if they do that, they're always going to be so good. On 27 minutes, there's a bit of a soft penalty from South Africa in the ruck, not rolling away, so that's 10-7. But what is clear is there's more punch in this Boks side. No, they're really powering through nicely. Snyman bumping and offloading again. Willemse looking very powerful at 12, which is great news for him. We know he's a talent. We know he can run, he can pass, but he's definitely bulked up from previous years. The best I've seen of him. Probably the player of the match, playing at 12, and then he had to move to 15, which shows his versatility, which we knew he had, but he was consistent, he was kicking, he was passing, and he was running really powerfully. So that was impressive there. And the scrum is starting to get folded up. So they're edging the pressure, but not quite on the scoreboard. So 10-7 at half-time, and the second half starts with a bang from South Africa. We've got New Zealand trying to use their soft hands, which is what their go-to was in this game. But great flying press and defence from Willemse, forces the mistake, forward pass from Ardie Sphere, and off we go. Erasmus decides 1 minute is enough for that front row there, and Che and Toy. You know, I make a joke there, but I think it's because there was a scrum. He was just waiting for the first scrum. It happened to be straight away. So on come the big boys of Wessels and Lowe. The new bomb squad, I don't know, but they make a big impact straight away, monstering the New Zealand pack backwards. Embarrassing stuff there. Sharp break from Reinach as the pack flies forwards, of course. The backpedaling New Zealand loose forwards can't get near the breakdown, so Khaleesi is there first, scoops and flies forward. Power and pace, so impressive from him. And Andre Esterhuizen shows he does have a good long pass. We know he's got a good long passing game, and he throws it out wide to Colbe, steps and scores. Brilliant stuff, precision, power, perfect stuff, perfect timing of the subs. 10-14, and that is the start for the roll forward from South Africa, as New Zealand don't get a point in this second half. They get absolutely clobbered. Now, because South Africa are trying to play a bit more and not slow the game down, New Zealand always want to do that, so the game is a crazy pace for sure. Cheslin Kolbe, his tail is up, he knows he's playing well. A great counter-attack, draws a bit of a shoulder charge from Vai, which is not very good at all. I think he was just trying to take their best player out of the game, which he did actually, but he could have wrapped his arms. That was a deliberate one there. Only a penalty, could have been worse potentially. Didn't catch him high, but still he was just trying to take out the danger man, so I'm sure South African fans won't be too happy with that because he was off for an HIA. So penalty from that, 10-17. It's a great start to the half of the Boks, but you know, they are losing a few players. Other players that I thought were really impressive, but Jasper Wiese was definitely a big addition returning to the pack for the Boks, so that's impressive. So he's going to continue to be starting 8 because he probably was before he was injured anyway. The New Zealand tactic is still to hang deep, pull the ball back, which they're pretty good at. They get to an edge on 52 minutes. Jordan goes around, good pace, but a poor pass from Jordan. So there was a few chances for New Zealand to get some scores, but they muck up their skills there. That final pass to Carter wasn't a good one. So there definitely were chances for New Zealand to get back into this game, even though South Africa had been on top for the whole game. And then they run away with it. The last 20 minutes is the absolute killer. It's where these games are won. Of course, you say the last 20 minutes, and goodness me, there was a massive difference here. Much tidier line-out drill from the South Africans, and they absolutely decimated that New Zealand line-out, particularly at the end of the game. One of the benefits of the talent of Grant Williams is you can play him on the wing or at 9 because he's got extreme pace, and on 60 minutes, Esterhuizen shifts it to him, and he's got too much pace for Proctor. Smart grubber, nearly sits up for Moody, so that could have been maybe a knockout blow there. But that New Zealand line-out is being read like a book. Nortje wins one against the throw, and South Africa batter the try line. It goes wide to Willemse, who does unbelievably well because the pass from Libbok is really poor actually. He catches it behind his head, stunting all momentum, but still manages to accelerate through 2 very poor tackles, you have to say. Tapai's one, particularly poor. Carter's one, poor as well. So they probably should have stopped him, but amazing stuff from Willemse. 10-24, and that kind of seals the game and precipitates the fall down of New Zealand in the last bit of this game. McAllister's quite a new hooker for New Zealand, and his line-out is absolutely falling apart. Again, pilfered at the front, this time by Pieter-Steph du Toit. The ball goes high to New Zealand, and they're so rattled. Another poor mistake. Jordan catches it, but shovels the rubbish, shall we say, back to Mackenzie and Barrett, and they muck it up and give South Africa more momentum if they don't need it. On 67 minutes, the winger hooker slices through broken field play far too easily. New Zealand looks shot. Upright tackles, really poor out wide. Mackenzie and Williams just trying to grab massive Andre Esterhuizen. That's not going to work as he goes further forward. and South Africa fall into shape, and New Zealand's defence is all over the place. Crossfield kicks for Peter Steph du Toit, who's actually taken in the air. It doesn't matter, as we have Quagga Smith who's following up, and I'm not sure what Tupaya's doing. He has him covered. It looks like he's ambling back. Is he outpaced? Is he knackered? He shouldn't be because he's a sub. Bad look there. Smith takes the offload and scores, so just poor defence from New Zealand. It looks like they're walking. They're not winning the high balls either, which doesn't help. That defensive lineup is all over the place, and the next try is a horror. We've got Holland who just rushes up on no one, which he's done before in this championship. Huge dog leg. Williams too slow to react. I mean, Snyman's not hard to miss. He's pretty big, but they're just taking no one. Terrible defence. Great try for Snyman though. But at least New Zealand have their handling to go back to, which, like I said, was good. They work Jordan in, who should score for a consolation at least, but goodness me, Grant Williams, the quickest 9 in the world, amazing cover tackle. I think Jordan thinks he's in, so he stretches to score, but that lasso round the legs, classic tackle from Williams, forces him to go short and drop the ball. Amazing cover speed from Williams. And then New Zealand are completely shot here. Their confidence is completely gone. You can question leadership, you can question guys coming off the bench, you can question just quality of players. But the last try is a beauty from South Africa. Seriously embarrassing for New Zealand. Newell, Williams, Holland, Parker, the big forwards, they are literally going for a Sunday walk, just ambling around. Willemse just goes past them. They cut them apart with ease. Nice draw and give. And inside to Williams, inside to Estes, who batters over Beauden Barrett like he's a child, kind of epitomising the dominance in the second half. So that is the performance the Boks needed. They put it all together. Power, pace, set piece, kicking, handling, finishing, brilliant stuff. New Zealand, they finished with a whimper. They could have scored a few more, but they didn't have a lot beyond nice hands. Player for player, they looked outclassed. I'm sure they'll play better, but still up against the might of South Africa, putting it all together, getting their traditional game and their new expansive game together in perfect harmony was an absolute joy to behold. So fantastic game. So please let me know what you thought of that performance from South Africa. Was it the complete performance that I thought? Did New Zealand fall apart as badly as I thought? Pop all those comments down below. Do like, do subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.